Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa alihi tahirin. We are continuing our lessons of history of philosophy, and we are on lesson 3 of our videos, and we are still in the first lesson in Ayatollah Misbah Yazdi's book, Philosophical Instructions. So the period of flourishing of philosophy. So now he's going to talk about the period of time where philosophy really began to flourish. The most famous the most famous thinker who stood out and stood up against the sophist. You remember the sophist from the last lesson? That thinker who stood against the sophist, who opposed the sophism, and who criticized their ideas, who critiqued and criticized and opposed their views, was a man called Socrates. This is a famous name, Socrates. Now, it's attributed to Socrates that it was he who called himself Philosophus. Philosophus, philos means lover of, Sophia, this is wisdom. So he called himself a lover of wisdom rather than calling himself a sophist, a wise person. He said he called himself a lover of wisdom. So it is attributed that the first person to call himself a philosopher or a philosophus was Socrates himself. That is a lover of wisdom. So that attributed story in the history goes that he at least realized that he was not wise, so he called himself a lover of wisdom, a philosophus, a philosopher. It is from this word, philosophus or philosophy, that the expression is from this expression, philosophus, and this word that the Arabic and Lugato Arabia took the form filsuf. So filsuf, philosophus, English philosopher, from which the term falsafa is derived. Philosophy in Lugato Arabia is falsafa. So filsuf, philosopher, falsafa, philosophy. Filsuf, philosopher, falsafa, philosophy. Okay? Now, historians of philosophy, they considered they considered there to be two causes for the choice of this name, for the choice of Philosophus. One reason that they suggested is that they said that Socrates was very humble. It was humility in Socrates about this issue. He was humble about this issue. Um, so he always was confessing his own ignorance. He was always humble about the knowledge. He was confessing his own ignorance. So that is one of the reasons that they suggest that he chose the name lover of wisdom. Another reason that they suggest is his objection to the sophist, his opposition to the sophist, who called themselves the sages, the wise, the sophists. That is, with the choice of this title of Philosophus, Socrates wanted to make them understand. You who, for the sake of material and political aims and gains, engage in discussion and debate, teaching and learning, are not worthy of the name wise, are not worthy of the name sophist, are not worthy of the name sage. And even I, who reject your ideas with the firmest of reasons to himself, do not consider himself worthy of this title. And Socrates merely calls himself Philosophus, Philosoph, a lover of wisdom, not a wise person, a lover of wisdom. So Socrates was the founding figure of this term, philosophy or philosopher. Now, Socrates, as the stories go into history, what's attributed of what happened, obviously this is a long time ago, that he had upset the society a bit. He had done the Socratic method of disproving all these people who thought they were wise, and he was sentenced to death for corrupting the religion of the people, and I think the youth or something. And he was sentenced to death of poison. So this is how Socrates was attributed of how he went out. So after Socrates, though, Socrates, while he was alive, he had a student. His student, Plato, Plato, they call Plato in English. So Socrates, after Socrates, his student Plato, who for years benefited from the lessons of Socrates, endeavored to establish the principles of philosophy. And then Plato's student, Aristotle, brought philosophy to a pinnacle in ancient Greece, a pinnacle of its flourishing. He was the means for it, right? And formalized the principles of thought and philosophy and reasoning in the form of the science of logic. So he formalized principles of thought and reasoning in the form of the science of logic. So you could say, so like Ilmomantic, we talked about in Ilmomantic a bit. The one who put it together, at least in its elementary form, into an organized science was Aristotle. He formulated the pitfalls of thought in the form of a section on fallacies. So you see now these three teacher, student, teacher, student have had such a big impact on philosophy. These were like the uh, formative period for Greek philosophy. Ever since Socrates called himself a philosopher, this expression of philosophy has been used as opposed to sophistry. So these two trends got born. You had sophism, philosophy. And philosopher was seen as an opposition to sophist. Philosophy against sophistry. That's not to say that's, sometimes in philosophy, there's been sophism in it to an extent of how we defined it in Ilmomantic. So this expression of philosophy has been used as opposed to sophistry, and it embraces all the real sciences. So back in the old days, the term philosophy embraced all the real sciences, such as physics. So it was a broad category. Nowadays it's limited down to metaphysics or first philosophy or this area of section, but in the old days it encompassed all your different sciences. Nowadays these sciences have spread out and been established their own disciplines, but in philosophy in the old days it encompassed many different areas. It had a theoretical side, nazari, and a amali, a practical side. And we've talked about this in previous lessons in other places. So in the past, philosophy it has different sections such as physics, chemistry, medicine, astronomy, mathematics, theology. Theos means God, ology means the study of, so study of God, theology. All of these real sciences, all these sciences it contained in it. We'll go through the list in a little bit. Even today, in many parts of the world's most renowned libraries, if you go to the libraries, the most renowned libraries in the world, the books of physics, chemistry, they are classified under the section under philosophy. So even till this day, you see the impact of this categorization that occurred in the past. And only conventional disciplines such as vocabulary, syntax, Nahu, and grammar are outside the realm of philosophy. So you have transmitted sciences like vocabulary, grammar, these language sciences, these are outside the realm of philosophy. Other things such as physics, natural sciences, these things are within the realm of philosophy. So you can see this impact even till today, even though today our terminology for philosophy has been more narrowed down. When we talk about philosophy, we narrow it down. Now, of course, there's different senses and usages of philosophy. You could talk about the philosophy of a certain science, which is how that science functions or how the howness of that science. So, or you could talk about philosophy as in first philosophy, or the philosophy of something. So there's different senses of the word's usage, but this total different types of classification of theoretical and practical and the different branches is something that is not necessarily used anymore, but it does still have an impact like you see in some libraries. In this manner, philosophy came to be considered as a common noun for all the real sciences. And it was divided into two general groups, two broad categories. It was divided into. That was the theoretical sciences, ulum al-nazari, and the practical sciences, ulum al-amali. The theoretical sciences, they included the natural sciences, they included mathematics, they included theology. And the natural sciences, in their turn, included fields of cosmogony, mineralogy, botany, zoology. And mathematics is divided into arithmetic, geometry, astronomy, and even music. So you see that they had many different branches, and all of this was considered as philosophy. In this way, philosophy came to be considered as a common noun for all the real sciences. Theology then was divided into two parts. Either it was metaphysics, or we could say for metaphysics a general discussion of existence, the study of wujud, the study of existence. And this is what we define metaphysics, philosophy as now. Because metaphysics doesn't mean something outside of the physical. It means the study of existence qua existence, existence as is existence. That could be about physical existence of things or non-physical existence. Could be about contingent or necessary existence. Where the whole point is that we're studying existence. Could be in concreto, or our fi dhimni. Could be in the real world, khariji, external world, or in your subjective world, in the soul, in the mind. So we're looking at existence, qua existence. That's what philosophy's study is. So this would relates to ontology, yeah? Um, so so you had the theology was divided into two parts. You have metaphysics, as I just said, the study of existence. And the second one would be theology proper, the study of God, right? As for the practical sciences, ulum al-amali, they are divided into three branches: akhlaq, morality, house management, or maybe you could say domestic economy, or siyasi, politics, political sciences. So if you mastered philosophy, you've mastered the the sciences, right? You've mastered the sciences. This was a broad category back in the old days. Okay, so let's go through a list of them. You have the Nazari type, the theoretical type of sciences, which were classified as philosophy. Here now you can make a diagram. You have first natural sciences. Like over here, the general principles of bodies. Second, you have things like mineralogy, botany, zoology, cosmogony. Third, you have mathematics, riyadat. There you have geometry, astronomy, music. Fourth, you have theology, which can be either the general study of the general principles of existence or the study of divinity. Okay. Then you have practical philosophy. So now there's a second category. You could draw a line over and you could do the second category. In the second category, you have ethics. So you notice this practical side is related to things which have to do with the human do's and don'ts, the human actions. What should they do? So here you have ethics. This one is regarding the individual. Ilm al-akhlaq. How should the person be? What should the person do? What kind of moral qualities can they develop? This one involves the individual. The second one is domestic economy. So house management is regarding the family. This is a kind of economics at a home level, or different types of things related to domestic economy. The third is politics. This is regarding the community, the practical things regarding the community, the running of the government, the political aspect. So you have here in the practical side of philosophy, you have things to do related with yourself, with your household, and then with the community. So you have ethics, domestic economy, and politics. So all of this was considered in the fold of philosophy. Now, after Plato and Aristotle, for some time, their students occupied themselves with the compilation and the arrangement and the elaboration on the works of their teachers, and more or less kept the market for philosophy brisk. It did not take long, though, however, for this briskness to be replaced by stagnation. So it didn't take long for this current moving to become stagnant, and that prosperity and thriving began to fail. And in Greece, there came to be few customers for the commodities of science and knowledge. People didn't care for it. The teachers of the arts and sciences came to dwell in Alexandria, Iskandaria, is in Egypt, Misr, where they engaged in research and education. So the teachers of arts and sciences, they went to Egypt where they'd engage in the teaching, the research, the education. The city of Iskandaria, Alexandria, remained the center of science and philosophy all the way until the 4th century. All the way until the 4th century. But when the Roman emperors converted to Christianity, it happened with supposedly attributed around Constantine's time. At least he converted the society to it. And maybe there's some kind of discussion there that can be held um, about what his reasons were and was he sincere in it. You could research that. But the Roman emperors, they converted to Christianity, and they then began to propagate the beliefs of the church, the Christian church at the time, as an official belief and ideas. They began to oppose the free realm of thought and science until finally uh, the Eastern Roman Emperor Justinian, in the year 529 CE. This is like this is uh this is right before the dawn of Islam, yeah? Islam in the Arabian Peninsula. So the Justinian, the Eastern Roman Emperor, in the year 529 CE, issued an edict to close the universities and schools of Athens and Iskandaria and Alexandria. And the schools and the scholars fled for their lives. And they sought refuge in other cities and lands. In this reason, the glimmering torch of science and philosophy was extinguished in the Roman Empire. So at that, we stand at the forefront of the prophetic mission of Islam about to appear on the world stage. That is Islam as the prophetic mission of Prophet Muhammad. Because, of course, all prophetic missions have been a type of Islam because Islam means submission to God. But as Islam as we know it, the beginning with the prophetic mission of Prophet Muhammad was about to appear on the world stage, and the Muslims were about to approach the world and approach the different ideas. And thinkers were about to be born. This vast shining of thinkers and researchers was about to be unleashed. So at this, we will end this lesson. And in the next lesson, inshallah, we'll talk about the dawn of Islam. Wa akhiru du'ana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.